Hi and welcome back to the workshop. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to do a short video on candle breaking on Japanese white pines. So I've got three beautiful trees of mine in the workshop today to run through with you. They're all slightly at different points, so it should be an interesting conversation. But again, with pines, your first consideration should be about balancing the tree's resources or balancing strength areas on the tree. Candle breaking in spring is one of those techniques that we can use really effectively to make sure that the parts of the tree which are typically strongest can be sort of toned down a little bit, and the weaker areas can be allowed to become a lot stronger. So let's get into it with these ones, and I'll have further chat about the trees as we go. You might recognise a few of them. This one was recently styled on a previous video. This one's been on Instagram a few times, so have a look at those two when you get the chance. So first up is this white pine. That's a tree that's still in development, still being developed into a nicer tree. It's getting there, but definitely by looking around the bud area, you'll notice that there are some that are stronger, and definitely others that are weaker. So it's really important that we perform this task now, because the candle length results in needle mass. So the longer the candle is now, the more needle mass it's going to be in that area. The more needle mass that these get in different areas, the stronger they become. So obviously the less needle mass they get, the weaker they become. So I'm trying to make sure that I can balance this tree out to get the resources equally distributed amongst the whole tree. Our technique is quite simple. Simply using fingers, grab the tip of the candle and break it off. And repeat that for the strongest buds. Strongest candles. This is quite a quick task, and should be one of those things for resource management that we do until all the candles have ceased to grow. So it's something that I'm going through, breaking the strongest now, leaving the weak, and as the weak gets stronger, then I'll perform the task again, where I'll go and break those candles before they get too long and too strong. So it's quite an easy task. Again, it's a lovely way to get up close and personal with your trees, and it's something which must be done for trees that have that inconsistency of candle length on your Japanese white pines. This sort of thing is really typical as well. So you'll see there's quite long candles here forming on the outside periphery of this pad, but on the inner part, the more shaded section of the pad, we're less likely to get strong bud growth. So the process with this is, like you can see, this one here has 3 growing from the one spot. I won't remove it back to 2 at this stage. I'm not interested in that. All I'm doing is I'm snapping those candles back in the stronger areas, and the weaker areas I'll leave those candles alone. I won't touch those. So what I would reasonably expect is the resources that are being pushed to this area of the pad start to then work its way back to the weaker areas of the pad, and then those buds will start to grow, and then I'll go and perform the same process with those ones when they get longer, if they do require it. This is truly one of my favourite trees in my collection. It's a mature Japanese white pine. You can see from the trunk there that it's a grafted species, but the bark on the white pine, even though it takes a long time to form, has really matured nicely with this tree. It's a very balanced tree. There's no real strong areas on the tree. There's no real weak areas. It's the picture perfect Japanese white pine that's been balanced beautifully. So love the needle quality, love everything about it. It's a really nice tree. So now I've got to perform the candle breaking, and as opposed to the previous tree which was done, this tree doesn't have those longer candles anywhere, because as I mentioned, it's more balanced. So the candle growth is pretty consistent. There's a few larger ones around the place, but the rest are pretty much the same size. So I've got to manage this one just a little bit differently and only look at targeting the stronger areas to bring those ones down. And it'll be a tree that I'll keep an eye on over the next few weeks to see if any of the other areas start to get out of balance, and I'll break the candles on those. But pretty much this is an easy tree to look after. So I perform this task with my fingers and my fingers alone. You can use tweezers for it, which is fine, but I find I've got greater control over the breaking process. We don't use scissors because we don't want to damage, when we break the stem of the candle, we don't want to damage the remaining needles that are sitting on that candle with our tips of our scissors. And the ideal timing for it is just before the buds start to open. So you'll see them where they're still wrapped. They haven't become exposed yet. So that's the best time to do it. And as I said, fingers is the quickest and easiest way for me, and it doesn't do any damage further down the stem of the candle. So that one's done for now. The areas were pretty balanced, as I mentioned before, so not a difficult task. A few areas where they haven't extended at all, so I'm leaving them alone, and I'll just keep an eye on it over the next little while to see if any of the buds that haven't been touched, the candles that haven't been touched, start to push out and get too long, and then they'll be given the same treatment just to make sure that no areas get too strong in comparison to the other. So last tree to look at for this candle breaking video for Japanese white pines is this large one, which was recently styled, and there's a video on YouTube you should check out, and you'll see that it's bounced really nicely. I don't have any issues with any of the work that was done. All areas are growing nicely and consistently. The inner areas have been lightened out and getting enough sunshine and enough exposure to the elements that they're quite balanced. There's a few little areas where candles are longer, but all in all, I'm really pleased with the tree. So this one again will be an easy process of just going through breaking any of the stronger ones, leaving the weaker ones and allowing them to develop over the next little while, and seeing what happens with the tree. Again, as I said, it's about that balancing, making sure that the strong areas of the tree get dialed down and the weaker areas get dialed up. So overall, the tree gets nice, even, consistent growth, and we can grow our bonsais for a very long period of time. That's done for now. Stronger candles were broken, weaker candles were allowed to grow. So as I said, the task will need to be repeated in a relatively short period of time, 2, 3, 4 weeks, something like that. And I'll just keep an eye on it on a daily basis. So rather than bring them into the workshop to do it all in one hit like this, as I walk around and have a cup of coffee in the morning and look at the trees, any that I see that have extended beyond where I'm happy with, they'll be broken off at that point. So it doesn't need to be a major chore, this sort of a job. It's really quick, it's really fast, but it's really essential. So that's Japanese white pine spring candle breaking. Thanks for tuning in, I do appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe if you want to stay in touch. I hope you're enjoying this series of videos I'm putting together, and you know, it's a great time to be with your bonsai. So enjoy yourself, take care of yourself, and until next time, happy bonsai.